Well, back at valve seating, I guess I wasn't looking close enough last year. I just thought the valve guys were going to be good enough because, like I said, I can live with some loose tolerances on this. It isn't a complete rebuild by any means. But when I was seating valves, this one I just can't live with. Not even I can live with that much playing a valve guide. It must be moving, when it gets close to closing, it must be able to move back and forth a good 1/16 of an inch. Look at that. And I can't even live with that. The guides in the other three heads appear real good. Actually quite good. But I say this is all mismatched parts. And also, this is the head that last year I pointed out. There's all dings in it here and here. So apparently the head fell off a valve in this cylinder head one time. And who knows, maybe that was from a real bad exhaust valve guide, because the valves, as you know, cool themselves when they seat and through the stem contact with the guide. And this one has basically no contact with the guides. And you just think how it wobbles when it seats all the time, so it doesn't get a good seat to cool. So maybe that's why at one point when it was being run hard, maybe exhaust valve fell off because of that guide, and they just took it apart and put another valve in it without doing anything with the guide. But even I can't deal with that much play. And my first thought was to take to the machine shop, have them bore that guide and press in a cast iron sleeve or a guide sleeve into it. And then I got remembering that I have an extra cylinder head. And I thought about, well, it doesn't hurt to try, see how the guides are in that one. And I already did it. I went and pressed the guide out of the other head. And it seems to be good and in pretty darn good shape, because I got to get the rust polished out of it. And I think it's going to be a good tight fit in the guide. But now I have to see about pressing that guide out, see if that's going to come or not, because I don't want to force it too blasted hard. But I'm going to give it a go and see if that guide will move. So I got to get outside and get it on the press. Well, we're ready to give it a go. It is kind of a scary moment. Well, it moved. Once it moves like that, it actually moved easier than the other one did when I took it out of the extra head. Now I have to put in a longer driver and one small enough in diameter to go all the way through the hole. There, now it's going nice and even. Oh, I got to get a little more travel out of it now. and one well-worn valve guide removed. There. Now the intake guide actually isn't worn that bad, but if you remember last year when I was working on this, this guide was never installed all the way, or it moved or something. And I was just going to let it the way it is. But seeing this is going good, I think I'm going to press it out. First I'll press the guide out of the other spare head I have, and then I'll press this one out and put a guide back in there, pressed all the way in. I think that's just the way to go, seeing it's going this good. Here's another interesting thing. This is the guide I took out this head that was all worn out, and you see it's that much shorter than what the other guides are. I had noticed that when it was in the head, that it was shorter than the rest. So I'm glad I took it out. I'm sure it'll go in good because there was absolutely no galling in the holes or on the sides of the guide or anything. So I think I'm going to stop with this for today. I'll get back at those guides tomorrow morning. I got a couple other things I want to show you yet. Now, I've cleaned up the rocker arm assemblies, and I show you something I noticed. And all it is this spring, which ain't a lot of spring pressure, pushes the rocker arms against the, I'll call them the rocker arm shaft towers. And another indication of this is assembled from other parts is this is the way everything's in the same location, the way this rocker arm assembly came off. Now, if I take this off, you can see these are interchangeable from side to side. And this is the way it was on. There's, for all practical purposes, no wear on this surface. But now look at the other side. Look at the amount of wear in here. And you can see from this lip that either the shaft or the rocker arm, or probably both, that this came off were worn so bad that the rocker arm was actually this far above the top of the shaft, wearing in either in the bottom of the rocker arm or on the bottom of the rocker arm shaft. So whoever put this engine together with parts, because the rocker arm pivots and shafts are so good, I'm almost guessing they might have got new rocker arms and shafts because they don't have any wear. They fit perfectly snug on the rocker arm shaft. And then they just switched the towers from side to side so that now it would be rocker arm be running against a side that had no air. But either that thing had a gazillion hours on it, but more likely it was on a machine that people just did not lubricate the rocker arms enough, because there are oil cups on the top of the valve covers that you have to oil. It says twice daily, but I would think more than that. Because that one they always talk about how many times daily. Well, it all depends on how many hours you put on. So I just wanted to show you that. The immense amount of wear that must have been in the rocker arms that these towers are on at one time. So thanks again for watching. Tomorrow I'll probably go at the other two valve guides and then continue with seating the valves. Put it back together and make sure I don't mix them up, because I'm keeping that all the way they came off, because there's absolutely no, can barely feel any clearance of the rocker arm on the shaft. So thanks again for watching. Tomorrow I'm going to continue on with the valve guides and then reseating the valves.